on this edition of It's a Miracle. A young family arrives at the hospital for the birth of their child.
We were very anxious because I physically didn't feel and emotionally that I could lose another baby.
But following delivery, problems begin for the newborn baby.
What happened? He was fine. He was healthy. His heart was beating strong. And what happened? What went wrong?
Discover the miracle in the delivery room. And a rainy night in Vegas ends with a tragic accident. See eyewitness video of this amazing miracle.
Oh my God, there's somebody in the Jeep.
A pair of legs and white shoes just came floating to the surface. I'll never forget the white shoes.
Witness the unbelievable series of events that saved this man's life. Then, Rennell Wallace was pronounced dead at the scene of a fiery plane crash. Witness an amazing series of miracles that reveal her burning from within. These stories and more on It's a Miracle.
Oh, it's a miracle, happening to everyday people, changing their lives forever. It's a miracle.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to It's a Miracle. I'm Richard Thomas.
And I'm Nia Peoples. The birth of a child is one of the great miracles of life. It's a time of joy and celebration.
But the loss of a child can be devastating. There may be no greater pain in life.
The people you are about to meet have suffered that pain twice. The first was during the birth of their daughter, Megan, when a chromosomal disorder took her life.
But her parents were assured that this was so rare that for it to happen again would be like lightning striking twice in the same place.
And so the couple, Tammy and Todd Carroll, decided to try again.
At first, Tammy's decision to have another child was a difficult one.
Even considering being pregnant again was very nerve-wracking. We were very anxious because I physically didn't feel and emotionally that I could lose another baby. That pain was horrific.
But as the pregnancy progressed without incident, her fear turned to happy anticipation. When tests revealed it was a boy, they named him Logan.
We were all just real excited about the coming day. I knew things were going to be okay. I was going to have this healthy baby boy. We had his crib up and all the clothes ready, and it was not going to be like last time. That was the one thing that was in my mind, that this was going to be completely different. It's another child, another time.
Dr. Diana Oken, the Carroll's obstetrician, expected an uncomplicated birth.
The pregnancy with Logan, everything was perfectly fine, normal. Logan's heart rate was fine the whole time. It was kind of a normal routine day at the hospital.
But suddenly, things went terribly wrong.
I could tell something wasn't right as soon as I held him, because a normal baby usually squirms. Even when the head first comes out, you sometimes can see their little eyebrows moving. And of course, we felt for heartbeat, and there was no heartbeat either.
My first thought was listening for his cry. Giving birth, you hear that first cry, and because of my previous experience with Megan and the silence in the room, that was the first thing that got me, was that he was quiet.
The doctor immediately called a code blue.
No spontaneous respiration. Started bagging. Any heartbeat? Come on, guys. This baby's not gonna die.
By this time, I'm pretty hysterical. No one will answer me. No one will tell me what's wrong. They just kept saying they don't know. They don't know what's going on. Just hold on. Just wait another minute.
Heartbeat still 0.
2 emergency room doctors, Tammy's pediatrician, and 2 neonatal specialists joined Dr. Oken to try to bring baby Logan back to life. They worked for 33 minutes without success. At 5:15, they pronounced Logan dead.
They came over to the bedside and said, "We're sorry, we've done all we can, and he didn't make it." The only thing I could do was scream, "Why? what happened? He was fine. He was healthy. His heart was beating strong. And what happened? What went wrong? And they said they had no idea.
One of the nurses wrapped Logan in a blanket and gave him to Tammy to say goodbye.
I kept picturing losing Megan and burying her in her tombstone and having to put another baby next to that. I knew that this was going to push me over the edge.
Tammy lovingly cradled the dead child, whispering softly to him.
I told him, I can't lose you. I can't. I knew in my mind I was going to lose it. I was just going to go into Never Never Land and not come back.
Tammy's family joined her for a last goodbye before Logan was taken away. Everyone took turns holding the little boy. It was a heartbreaking experience for each member of the family. And then, an hour and 18 minutes after Logan had been born without a heartbeat, 45 minutes after 4 doctors failed to revive him, the Carrolls are convinced a miracle happened. Tammy's stepmother, Marjorie Birch, remembers the moment.
I was in the rocking chair, and he was wrapped, and he was so perfect, but he was so cold. And then all of a sudden, I began to feel warmth in my arms. And I looked at the baby and I thought, he's no longer blue. He's beginning to get a little pinkish on me. No, it's because I want him to be pink. It's because I want him to breathe. It's because I want him to be alive that he's this way.
But she soon realized it wasn't just wishful thinking. Baby Logan was alive.
This baby's breathing. Get a nurse.
A nurse immediately contacted Dr. Oken, and she was amazed.
We put an EKG on him. His heart rate was normal, and his oxygen level was 98%. I went to the phone and called the pediatrician at her office, and she got on, and I said, Dr. Valentine, can you come back over here? This baby's alive. And she said, Diana? And I said, I know, Mary. I said, he's as pink as a little girl's dress.
After the heart-wrenching agony of thinking her child was dead, Logan's sudden return to life was almost too much for Tammy to bear.
I could not believe it. It was total amazement. It was relief, but was it going to last? And was it something that within the next minute they're going to say, well, no, we're sorry, he's gone again?
But Logan kept breathing. He was alive again after having been dead for an hour and 18 minutes.
Everybody that was involved in that resuscitation came back to that nursery within the hour of the word getting out that he was alive again. I'd call it a miracle, because we sure didn't do anything medically for the baby. I mean, everything we did didn't work. So whatever brought him back had nothing to do with what we did.
Logan is every definition of a miracle. I held that baby, and he was dead. He was not here. And when he came back to life, and he was breathing and moving again, there is no other explanation at all whatsoever other than God performed a miracle and gave him back to me and allowed me to have him in my life. Logan loves life. He is a joy. He is an absolute joy to be around. And our life is so much richer with him in it. Having him here means everything. He's my baby.
Logan, the real-life miracle baby, is now 3 and attending preschool. To this day, doctors have no explanation for his remarkable recovery, but Logan's parents do. It was simply a miracle. We'll be right back.
Coming up next on It's a Miracle. A plane crash claims the life of a 32-year-old woman. Or does it? Witness the miracle of the burning from within. And later, see real home video footage as 3 girls are swept away by a gigantic wave, and all of them survive.
You come to the beach to have a good day. You don't come here to die.
Watch the dramatic action of this amazing story as it happens when It's a Miracle returns.
It's a miracle.
Brunelle Wallace thought she had everything. A wonderful husband, a great home. Things were so good that many times she and her husband Terry would fly together in their private plane. On the night before one of their plane trips, she had a dream. In her dream, the plane, piloted by her husband, crashed. She decided to take the flight anyway.
There was just a gut-wrenching cold chill that just went through every core of my body. And I started screaming, you know that dream I had last night, Terry? I just have a feeling about this.
What would you do if you had a dream that told you you were in danger, and a strange little voice told you you could avoid it if you listened? For Terry and Rennell Wallace, it should have been an easy flight from one small airport in Utah to another. But Rennell's vision from the night before began coming true in every detail.
The visibility started shrinking. The snow started coming down and forcing me lower and lower and lower.
By the time Terry realized that they were in trouble, there wasn't a safe way out. And then through the clouds, they spotted a mountain.
He started pulling up on the steering column and we started a real steep ascent. And as we did, I just started screaming, this is just like Colossus on the roller coaster.
And all of a sudden I heard this clunk, clunk, clunk as the propeller hit a tree, and then it started skidding into the ground, and then I knew I was going to get smashed.
Parts of the plane started to fly up along the side, and the sparks started to fly up underneath the cockpit. We came to a dead halt, and there was not a scratch or bruise on either one of us. And I was shocked.
Rennell kicked open the door. An explosion blew out the roof of the cockpit and her with it.
I remember seeing parts of my coat and flames falling off and dripping down onto my pants and onto the ground. I remember seeing my hands on fire.
Terry escaped with minor injuries, but Rennell's wounds were killing her, with burns over 75% of her body. Her face was burned beyond recognition. As EMTs rushed to a hospital, she moved closer and closer to death.
And I said, somebody please, I can't breathe. And the male nurse bent down to my ear and he said, stop trying. We'll do all the work for you. And at that moment, I remember everything got very black. And then it became clearer and clearer. And as I looked around, I realized I was standing up in the ambulance.
Technically, Rennell died that day.
Most people do not know that they're dead. Their consciousness is fully conscious of what's going on, and yet there they are, the shell of who they thought they were, lying there being pronounced dead.
Rennell was having a near-death experience.
And then in the distance, I saw a woman coming toward me dressed in white. And she moved very quickly and stood in front of me. And when she stopped, she smiled. And she called me out by name. And my first thought was, do you know me? And she answered back, Rennell, it's Grandma.
Rennell recognized the woman as her late grandmother at about age 25, and she had a message. She told her to conquer fear and return to life in the physical world.
And that I would need to build the strength to stay strong, to overcome the ordeals ahead of me. And that I needed to come to learn and appreciate the great love and power within me.
Then her grandmother showed Rennell her physical body.
And I was in there by myself, and the room was very dark and it was very cold. My first thought was, that's not me, because it was so ugly.
Rennell looked at her tortured body and told her grandmother there was no way she could return.
And she said, look. And in the path, I saw a young man coming. And he says, Mom, what are you doing here?
Rennell saw that this was her son, a son yet unborn. His name was Nathaniel.
And I went and put my arms around him. And I said, Nathaniel. He says, Mom, you have to go back. He says, I need you, Mom. He says, there's so much I have to do, and I can't do it without you.
Finally, Rennell decided to return. She regained consciousness in a Salt Lake City burn center and was released 6 weeks later. But her biggest task was to come. Rennell arrived home physically intact, but far from being healed. She wore a tight mask to keep scar tissue from spreading on her face. Fire was her worst nightmare.
It literally terrorized me. Every time I turned the stove on, I would jump a mile high.
Less than 2 months after returning home from the hospital, Rennell and Terry were up before dawn to go to another surgical appointment.
And I saw these flames coming out of the neighbor's house.
The flames were coming from inside her neighbor's house. Rennell knows the family inside is asleep. Her biggest fear is now facing her: fire.
Coming up next on It's a Miracle. Find out how Rennell responds to the fire. Is it a miracle or a heroic mistake? And later, a rainy night in Vegas ends with a tragic accident. See eyewitness video of this amazing miracle.
Oh my God, there's somebody in the Jeep.
A pair of legs and white shoes just came floating to the surface. I'll never forget the white shoes.
Witness the unbelievable series of events that saved this man's life. All that and more when It's a Miracle continues.
Changing their lives forever. It's a miracle.
Rennell Wallace had a dream that she and her husband Terry would be involved in a tragic plane crash. That dream came true. They survived, but her face was burned beyond recognition. After spending 6 weeks in a Salt Lake City burn unit, Rennell arrived home physically intact, but far from being healed. Now, she's face to face with her biggest fear: fire. Just weeks after surviving the crash, Rennell arrived home wearing a tight mask to keep scar tissue from spreading on her face. Now, fire was her worst nightmare.
It literally terrorized me. Every time I turned the stove on, I would jump a mile high.
Early one morning, Rennell and Terry were up before dawn to go to another painful surgical appointment.
And I saw these flames coming out of the neighbor's house.
And that's when I heard a voice. And that voice was so clear. I went over and I looked at the window and I saw the flame from the roof and it said, "Get over there, they're asleep."
Her grandmother's message about conquering her fears flashed through her mind. As Terry called 911, Rennell ran to help.
And I started pounding on the window and pounding on the door, and there was no answer. I ran back to the garage and the door was flipping up and down from the electrical switch, and I tried to move between the two cars to get in, and that's when the garage door shut behind me. And I was trapped inside the garage. And it was filling up real rapidly with black, thick smoke. And I was choking. That I started screaming, if anyone's in there, please get out, your house is on fire. And finally I heard this loud screeching sound of a woman's voice screaming at the top of her lungs. I said, "If you're okay, get out, your house is on fire."
Rennell managed to kick open the garage door and meet the woman in front. There were 2 children asleep inside, and they ran in to save them.
I said, "Stay underneath the smoke, stay underneath the smoke." She was gone in a second, and she came back.
The house was a total loss, but everyone survived.
Oh, thank you. And she started to say, "Thank you, thank you." And I started screaming, "Thank you, thank you." This is, "Why are you thanking me?" And I said, "You'll never understand. You'll never understand."
Rennell's courage won national attention and presidential recognition.
And here I was faced with something that I thought would paralyze the rest of my life, but it was the greatest blessing of my life because it has helped me to conquer the greatest fears that I have.
Rennell's greatest blessing was still to come. Although doctors told her it would not be possible, 8 years after the plane crash, Rennell gave birth to a son. She believes it is the boy she met in her near-death experience. She named him Nathaniel.
Oh, my big guy. Okay, I love you. Every once in a while I'll go, "Nathaniel." I'll just think, will he respond? Will he look at me in that same look that I saw on the other side? And doggone it, if once in a while he doesn't turn around and I see that little bit of a spark in his eye. And I'll go, "Nathaniel, it's you." And he'll come in and put his arms around me and say, "Get me." And it's him.
Above all, Rennell has learned to listen to that gentle voice, her miracle.
It helped me to learn to be more confident of listening to the burning within, to listen to the heart. If it hadn't been for that voice, I would have never gone into that fire.
After writing a book and lecturing on the subject of fear, Ronelle decided to confront the biggest fear she has left, flying. She recently joined Terry for their first flight together since the crash.
And more focused on, really, there's no fear that I can't conquer. I've gotten to the point that, everything is possible. You just have to believe. Everything is possible. Everything.
Ronelle has dedicated her life to helping people conquer their fear. The most important thing, she says, is to listen to yourself, to the burning from within. We'll be right back.
Coming up next on It's a Miracle. A storm in the Las Vegas desert causes a tragic accident.
Not breathing, his heart wasn't beating, he was dead.
A man is trapped underwater for over 30 minutes. See the dramatic story captured on video. And later, 3 girls who do not know how to swim are swept away by killer waves.
Now, I thought she was dead. I seriously thought she would never be seen again alive, because the time this happened before, 2 girls died like that. Died.
Can they get to the girls in time? Stay with us as It's a Miracle continues.
There's no question that technological miracles have saved the lives of many people in life-threatening situations. But technology can only go so far. The story you're about to see is real. The footage is real and it's intense. It's an amazing story of a man who defies the laws of science. Las Vegas, Nevada, January 18th, 1990. During a downpour that was much heavier than usual, the Las Vegas Fire Department was kept busy with numerous accidents caused by an overflowing flood channel. Just past midnight that same night, 26-year-old Murray Brown was at a local pool hall. He had moved to Las Vegas a month before to look for work in the booming housing industry. The game was on Murray's side that night, and he was also enthusiastic about some job prospects. When Murray decided to call it a night, he didn't know that he was leaving his luck in the pool hall. Driving home on an unfamiliar stretch of road, he swerved to avoid hitting something on the street and flipped over into the overflowing flood channel. A passing motorist called 911. For the firefighters who answered the call that night, only a miracle would keep this tragedy from claiming more victims. At first, there was no way to know whether there was someone in the car.
If someone was in the Jeep when it went over, we figured they probably weren't in it. They either got themselves out or was washed downstream.
A tow truck cable was hooked up to the Jeep and an attempt was made to lift it up. By now, the firefighters had to ignore the dangerous waters and find out if there was a victim pinned under the Jeep.
We felt the best way to do that was just go down in there and try to feel into the Jeep and see if you could feel a body. I attempted to do that, but with the force of the water moving as quickly as it was and the instant coldness, it was impossible. We lifted it from where it was upside down to one side.
And then, the tragic revelation.
They said, "Oh my God, there's somebody in the Jeep."
A pair of legs and white shoes just came floating to the surface. I'll never forget the white shoes. At that point in time, because the tow truck was having so much problem, we decided just to hold the vehicle tipped halfway and tie it off and try to perform a rescue.
Our big problem was how we were going to get this guy out of the Jeep, onto the bank, and we don't want to endanger any more people than we have to. We know that any fireman or emergency personnel that falls into this channel is going to get swept down the channel just like the victim would have.
But retrieving him was difficult as well as dangerous, so rescuers decided to tie a line to him and pull him across the flood channel. The victim had been underwater for over 30 minutes. When Captain Perry Hort jumped in to grab him, he was swept away. Miraculously, fireman Bill Combs was able to stop them both at the safety line.
Chief Hort had the victim straddled underneath his legs. And he screamed to Billy, he's under me, I got him in my legs, I got him in my leg, get him.
It was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done physically in my life, was to try to hang on to the rope and hang on to him.
Well, I reached around and I ended up getting the guy around the waist, but he was so big, I couldn't get my arm even halfway around the side of him. My arm would have had to rip off. There was no way I was going to let go of the rope.
Would this terrible night become more tragic? The rushing water was equal to 400 pounds of weight on Captain Hort as the other rescuers formed a human chain.
And so they could reach out and they grabbed him. And when they pulled him out, they pulled my legs out kind of from under me. I mean, I couldn't move. And the water had a hold of me.
Meanwhile, rescuers tended to the victim.
He was not breathing, his heart wasn't beating, he was dead.
At that time, I started to think about how long we were on the scene, how long it took us to get him out, and then no one knew how long he was in there. And I really thought at that time everything we did was in vain.
But firefighter Curtis Harper wouldn't give up.
I was on the gurney administering cardiac compressions. We determined from the run reports, from our arrival time at the scene, from the time we left the scene, that he was underwater for 36 minutes.
Not breathing, no heartbeat, you know. Basically, I thought we had recovered a body.
You know, when you fail, you think you failed at doing your job. You don't feel very good about it.
Then, the most incredible miracle happened.
En route to the hospital, we did in fact get a heartbeat, a blood pressure from the patient. That was amazing to me. That was absolutely amazing.
What was amazing about this case was the fact that he had been submerged for a long period of time, and in fact, they still had a detectable heartbeat.
I think that his guardian angel was looking over him that night.
Then another miraculous circumstance. A one-of-a-kind blood-warming machine was being tested at the University of Nevada Training Center.
We hooked catheters to the artery and vein in the leg, big arteries and veins, used his own heart to pump the blood into the machine through the artery, warmed it in the machine, returned it to the vein where it could go to his heart and lungs and warm his whole body again, very rapidly.
Although he was in a coma, Murray Brown was alive.
Murray Brown came to us almost dead. It was a miracle that they got him out.
And Murray Brown was living proof that miracles do happen.
First thing I remember is waking up in a hospital and having my parents present at the time. Basically, what I'm trying to say is I'm a young man and I don't always stop to smell the flowers. And now that I have a new lease, I think I'd like to stop and smell the flowers more often.
The whole series from the rescue to him going to the hospital to this amazing blood-warming machine that the doctor just happened to be in Las Vegas on that night.
I don't think this man would have survived without some help from the paramedics, a good trauma team, and help from above.
Today, Murray Brown is yet to completely recover from his accident. He's left Las Vegas and moved to Southern California, where his rehabilitation continues. We'll be right back with more It's a Miracle.
Coming up next on It's a Miracle, see the story of a young girl who claims to have made contact with angels.
We knew that there were signs that Tara had some knowing of this, and she was leading us messages.
Discover the messages from angels. And see real home video footage as 3 girls are swept away by a gigantic wave, and all of them survive.
You come to the beach to have a good day. You don't come here to die.
Watch the dramatic action of this amazing story as it happens when It's a Miracle returns.
When we lose a loved one, we often search for an answer, try to find a way to cope with the grief. Why does death come too soon? In some tragedies, it's almost impossible to understand, unless you have the help of an angel.
Tara was always a very social person, very active, busy. I think in retrospect, we really noticed a shift in her in the last few months preceding the accident, where there was a calmness about her, a different beauty and glow.
At summer camp, they called Tara Moore the Angel Girl. It wasn't just that she seemed consumed with creating angelic figurines in craft class, or even that she carried an angel handbook with her wherever she went. No, Tara claimed she was actually in contact with the angels, angels that seemed to be preparing her for her own death.
She became very infatuated with the book called Messengers of Light. Tara latched onto that book. She wrote in it. She asked questions of her angels in it. It became her journal and her Bible.
On the night of Tara's tragic accident, she had invited friends over for pizza and videos.
And as Tara handed me my dinner, we locked eyes, and she said, "Mom, when you're finished on this plane of existence, can you go at any time to do more important work elsewhere?" And I said, "Tara, of course I believe that that's true. I feel she was asking my permission to leave." And she said, "Mom, we're just going to drop our friend off and we'll be right back." And it got to be a little bit longer than I expected. And I thought, well, maybe they're talking to the parents or something. And then Kirk came home and he said, "I'm sorry I'm late. There was an awful accident right down the street." And I just said, "Kirk, it's Tara." I just knew, my heart and soul knew that something had happened.
The teens were in a terrible car crash. The two girls riding with Tara survived. Tara Moore was killed instantly.
You suddenly feel like you're in a bad dream or in a vacuum and just being sucked away. You think you'll wake up any moment, and what you heard wasn't true.
When the Moores returned home from the hospital, they discovered a series of unexplainable messages. Messages they believe were left by Tara.
We walked into the kitchen, and sitting on the kitchen counter was one angel-shaped cookie. We know Tara must have made it, but we don't know where she got the dough, when she made it, where she got the cookie cutter, but it was sitting there right in the middle of the counter.
Could Tara's angel have left the cookie? Soon the Moores found another sign.
Then we walked upstairs and passed by her bedroom, and in the middle of her bedroom floor was a song sheet torn out of a songbook, and the name of that song was "You're an Angel."
A coincidence? Or a goodbye message from a young girl beginning a miraculous journey?
We knew that they were signs that Tara had some knowing of this, and she was leaving us messages.
In an effort to piece together the clues left by Tara, the Moores contacted Terry Lynn Taylor. She is the author of Tara's angel handbook, Messengers of Light.
First of all, I think it's just absolutely beautiful, that these things were there. I think it's unexplainable. But a lot of things I've seen that the angels have done are really unexplainable. If God needs an angel to manifest as a human and stop a train, they can do that. If God needs to rearrange someone's room so a song sheet's on the floor, why would we second guess that could not be possible?
Angels continued to appear in the Moore home, this time as physical expressions of love from friends and neighbors.
Tara got labeled as the Angel Girl, and after her death, people sent us angel gifts, cards. We just were inundated with all kinds of angel figurines, and we just came up with the idea. I said, let's open an angel store.
The store the Moores opened is called Tara's Angels in San Juan Capistrano, California. It has become a healing place for the Moores and a place where Tara's presence surrounds everyone who enters.
A lot of people come into our shop just to feel the presence, the energy in our store. And many of them have had similar experiences that we've had. They felt that their children had a knowing about their passing.
Sandy Moore can't tell you whether her daughter is with the angels or has become an angel herself, but she can tell you that the angel girl remains in close touch.
I think of Tara all the time, and she's given us a wonderful gift. We are the vehicles for her message of love and hope, and to let people know that love never dies, I feel I live most of the time with one foot over there and one foot down here, and there is a comfort in that too.
Coming up next on It's a Miracle, see real home video footage as 3 girls are swept away by a gigantic wave, and all of them survive.
You come to the beach to have a good day. You don't come here to die.
Watch the dramatic action of this amazing story as it happens when It's a Miracle returns.
Have you ever been at a loss to explain a wondrous event that changed your life in a critical moment? Something over which you had no control, where perhaps some other force was at work? That's exactly what happened to a mother and 3 children on a trip they took to Newport Beach, California. Could it have been a miracle? You decide. When teenagers Myrna and Marie Demergian, their cousin Lena, and Lena's mother went to the beach, the last thing they were thinking about was a miracle. They were just out to have some fun in the sun. Mel Toman noticed the attractive threesome and followed them with his camera.
Like, people like that really don't have a clue, and obviously they didn't realize how big it was. It was, you know, huge.
Mel has been coming down to this beach for over 20 years. He's a cameraman, and on this day, the waves were the most incredible that he had ever seen. Just minutes after the girls arrived, ignoring the red warning flags, they were unaware they were planted at ground zero of the wave's most dangerous impact zone. Fred Simpson, a longtime friend, joined Mel on the beach.
Some of the sets are just huge.
That's right, it's hot.
But check out these girls over here. Back.
That's
You
trouble.
got a surge.
Look, they don't even know what's going on.
What did they tell them back in Iowa? We were down at the seashore.
Watch it. Oh, they get sucked. This one's still.
It's just as a matter of conversation, that's trouble. I mean, we knew that was trouble. We knew those 3 girls were trouble. We knew it was trouble waiting to happen.
An ugly swell came up that the surfers call the freight train, with good reason. It's as brutal and as big as they come. This is actual footage of the 3 girls being swept out to sea.
Better get going.
As I recalled, she went into the wall and sucked under and didn't come up. Now, I thought she was dead. I seriously thought she would never be seen again alive, because the time this happened before, 2 girls died like that. Died.
Marie was knocked down, then the riptide grabbed her. In a matter of seconds, she was out of control and pounded by the wave's deadly surf. None of the girls knew how to swim. Lena tried desperately to reach her cousins. Myrna, too, became a victim, pummeled by the waves.
It's like one of those things where you're just going, is this really happening? And then hearing the screaming from, I guess, their mom or whatever, and Fred was, you know, saying, get the lifeguard.
Body surfer J.T. Nickerson heard Mel's screams and was able to bring Myrna on shore before another set hit. Newport Beach lifeguards immediately moved in with first aid.
It was like triage almost. I mean, it was just crazy. Because usually you're only dealing with 1 person, maybe 2. And then this, so I have a handful, and they're all really bad, and the surf's really big, and it's just going to be a tough time.
There were still 2 girls in the pounding surf. Marie was still struggling, but Lena was knocked unconscious by the force of the waves.
I didn't think she'd ever come up, and I didn't even think I could go down and get her. I didn't even consider trying to rescue that one, because I knew she'd be found in shallow water in probably about 5 minutes. However, the second one ran in, I watched her, and she popped up the backside, and she started drifting out into the break line, in no man's land. So I went after the one I could see.
Lifeguard Jeff Harvey called for a rescue boat and more backup because the situation was now at a critical stage.
Our boats just happened to be coming out of the harbor, which is the luckiest thing in the world. Coming out early because there's big surf. They responded very quickly.
If another set came in and caught her, she might have drowned. The set didn't come in. I got her out past the surf line before the set hit. She was scared. In fact, was asking about the other girl, would she be all right? And I was telling her, yes, she would be. Thinking, seriously, I thought she would be dead.
At that moment, Lena was held underwater by the powerful riptide. Marie continued to scream about her sister. The lifeguards knew that a second girl was rescued on the beach. What they didn't realize was that there were actually 3 girls. There was still another victim. In the confusion, the lifeguards prepared to leave the scene, leaving Lena in the watery grave known as the Wedge.
I think they were about to leave, but that one girl was still somewhere.
5320 to Sea-Watch, you're going to need to stand by this location. We still have 1 victim unaccounted for in the water.
There's one more down.
Oh my God, that's my sister! There! That's my sister! That's my sister!
Get over there, get over there. Stay right there. Stay there.
When they got her, she was, you know,
Is she okay?
clinically dead. I mean, well, you know, no heart and no breathing, so by definition, dead.
Get back, get back.
As the lifeguards on board the rescue boat tried to revive Lena, back on the beach, their mother is hysterical watching the events unfold.
We had the Wedge crew, people really experienced watermen, just really in a high state of anxiety. And I started helping JT bring in the other girl. As we were treating her, that's when we had the secondary victim, and the mother had the heart attack.
She apparently just lost it. You know, watching her daughters go down. I had like monitored her vitals and just tried to like stabilize her because she was having like a heart problem. Her pulse was really rapid and weak and basically in shock. You come to the beach to have a good day. You don't come here to die.
With the mother stabilized on the beach, back on the boat, they continued to work on Lena.
Is she okay?
They resuscitated her going around the jetty. I guess she was breathing by the time she got over here, but she was, I don't know what her religion is, but she ought to start thanking people.
Fred and Mel both agree that these amazing circumstances were something more than luck. Too many good things happened this miraculous day in Newport Beach.
The mother and all 3 girls are alive and doing just fine today. They claim that what happened at the Wedge was more than just coincidence. It was definitely a miracle. We'll be right back. I hope you'll join us next time when we meet more real people who have experienced miraculous events in their lives.
See you then on It's a Miracle.